It's the 19th of December 2022. Good morning. This is KTN News Center. I'm Purity Musianzuki. Welcome to the program. In the next 30 minutes or so, we bring you up to speed with the latest news from the country and around the world. Use the hashtag News Center to interact with us at KTN News KE and at Purity_Musia. That's on Twitter. Let's now get started. University researchers want political leaders in the country to be educated on GMOs and other agricultural technologies before release of genetically modified organisms maize for field trials next year. The scientists argue that this will help in demystifying the misconceptions surrounding the GMOs. Under the umbrella of Kenya University Biotech Consortium, KOBECO, scientists raised concerns about the high magnitude of misconceptions exuded by politicians since the lifting of the ban was announced in October. The researchers are calling upon members of parliament to strengthen legislations governing established regulatory agencies checking on food imports to enhance their mandate, especially in inspecting GMOs likely to enter the market next year.
All we are actually requesting our members of parliament, the National Assembly, is to give strength or to strengthen these existing institutions and push them to do their mandate and allow them to be able to comment on these matters with a lot of information rather than making matters GM very emotional.
Technology scientists, they have taken this particular gene and they have put it in maize, and therefore so that the farmer can get more yield from so that the crops are not attacked by stalk borer. But in terms of safety, the data we have, the data that is available from the public domain in peer-reviewed journals, does not show anything which is adverse, which can be of a health effects to either man or any mammal.
There is no danger to the indigenous traditional foods that we actually use. Science is zeroing only in a few crops, and in particular on maize, and that has not been released for use up to this particular time.
And women in Tharaka Nithi County are pushing for inclusion and recognition as able individuals to own agricultural land and livestock. The women say that culture relegates them to being second fiddle to men on matters land ownership. Men in Tharaka Nithi County own the land and make all decisions pertaining to all important commodity. They decry that they do the donkey work in the farms but are hardly involved when they sell the farm produce of the livestock. Even when Jubilee administration issued thousands of title deeds in the county, majority of them were in the names of the male gender. They want the trend changed in line with the provision of the Constitution.
Women have been neglected for several years on decision making when it comes to farming, when it comes to land ownership, when it comes to lands, livestock, when it comes to issues related to women. Women have been neglected, even culturally. But now we are here to ensure that women are not left out on issues of farming, on issues of making decisions on what to farm, on what to sell, on what you're supposed to eat. Yeah, that's why we are championing on the same.
We are trying to get those issues reviewed. We are trying to get those issues documented so that we can come up with mechanisms of policy review so that we can get solutions favorable to these people who are being affected.
Elsewhere, sting operation by a multi-agency team in Juja sub-county has netted, among other items, a large consignment of bang, illicit brews and weapons used by criminals targeting mostly university students. Kiambu County Police Commander Mushangi Kioi said 12 suspects have been arrested in the week-long crackdown and will be arraigned in court to answer various charges. Among the items impounded were bang packaged in biscuits then sold mainly to students at the nearby universities and colleges. Kioi, who was accompanied by Juja Sub-County Police Commander Phyllis Muthoni, said a crackdown on illicit alcoholic drinks and drugs will be intensified over the festive season.
22 cartons of counterfeit sirika that is recovered within area of Muigai and some parts of Gashororo. 16 mobile phones of different makes also recovered within the Juja Township. 8 pangas, 10 assorted knives, 2 carry barrel, and 5 pangi 85 kilograms worthy 500,000 shillings. I want to give a warning. We have a lot of these fake beers. As you can see, we have the cake, we have Tusker, we have Pilsner. When members of public are buying, especially these autumn drinks for the Christmas, let them check whether they are the real, is the actual beer or is the fake beer, because they are out within the villages there.
While non-government organizations have teamed up to promote production of indigenous vegetables as an alternative source of income for rural households, Rural Outreach Africa, SNV Netherlands and World Vegetable Center WVC are implementing the Veggies for Planet and People project with funding from IKEA Foundation in Kakamega, Vihiga and Kisumu counties. Through the project, farmers in the identified areas have been organized through village-based networks where they get support through training and best farming practices. Speaking during a field day at one of the selected farms in Cabras, the regional coordinator of Rural Outreach Africa, Doreen Anjawa, said that many people are changing their consumption habits by embracing traditional vegetables which are pesticide-free.
As a department, we are always there. Wakati wote mashirika inaweza kuja iende, lakini sisi tutasimama na nyinyi. Wale ambao hawakushika jinsi ya kupanda mboga ama wale ambao hawako kwa groups, bado tuko washikane na wale maafisa ambao wamekuwa hapa wa ward, watawasaidia ili pia mfike kiwango ya kufundisha wengine.
Mingi zenye zinakulwa hapa kwetu zinatoka nje. Kuna kuanga na kama hizi tenders nini na nini. Hiyo ninge request watupe nafasi sisi wakulima wa mboga tuuze kwanza kwetu, ndio zikipungua wafanye nini, waende nje. Juu nimejua tuko na mboga.
Ni muradi utawatoa kwa umaskini, ni muradi utawapa pesa. Na sasa hivi vile mnajua Kenya iko shida na njaa sasa hivi. Ikiwa mkulima anaweza kuwa kama na mboga zenye tunaona kwa hii shamba, akiuza haezi akalala njaa. Na tena tunawafunza diversification. Na tunaangazia sana mkulima asikwame kupanda mmea moja hata kama ni mboga.
Moving on, the government has announced that over 9.5 billion shillings has been disbursed through the Hustler Fund that was launched just 3 weeks ago. Borrowers have defaulted in paying at least 7 billion shillings. The CS Ministry of Cooperatives and SME Development, Simon Chelugui, is now pleading with Kenyans to repay the money to sustain the kitty. As KTN's Emmanuel Toll now reports, the government may have to rethink ways to get back the money if the high default rate on loans by Kenyans is anything to go by.
When it was launched 20 days ago with pomp and color, the Hustler Fund was, according to President William Ruto, poised to become a game changer in the lives of the millions of hustlers in the country. But it came with a caveat.
It just needs a citizen, his phone or her phone, and a track record, and they can borrow as much as they want, so long as they keep to a track record.
So far, the repayment rate is slightly slow, as many Kenyans default on the loan settlement. Only 23% of the total amount has been returned out of the 9 billion shillings already disbursed. Speaking during the 10 International Marathon Sunday, the CS for Cooperatives and MSMEs Development Simon Chelugui said the numbers borrowed from the 50 billion kitty so far are promising.
Na mpaka saa 3 leo tumepeana zaidi ya bilioni 9.5 kwa mahaslas wote wa Kenya. Kati ya hawa kuna mahaslas milioni 16 na 1,576 wameingia katika mpango ya Hustler Fund. 124,000 ya hawa 16 million wanatoka hapa Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Going by the records, the ministry will now have to devise ways to push Kenyans to repay the money, since about 7 billion shillings already borrowed has not been returned.
Lakini lazima pia urudishe ndio uweze kupata score, uanze kupata max. Ikipanda juu, kuna wakati utakuwa unaomba 50,000 na unapewa kupitia kwa simu. So the trick of this fund is the integrity, the honest, the behavior of the borrower. Ukiomba na usiporudisha ama upitishe masiku, you remain at the lowest level.
By 7 a.m. Sunday, 16 million transactions had been completed. President William Ruto has been on the front line, urging Kenyans to ignore calls from the opposition who are against the repayment of the funds.
Why do you want to derail the hustlers who today are suffering from shylocks and from predatory lenders, and they are being charged 360%, and you're telling them not to pay money given to them at 8% so that they can go back and pay at 360%.
Mwezi wa pili tarehe 15, rais pia atakuwa anazindua asina ingine ya hii Hustler Fund kusaidia cooperatives, chama, women group.
Emmanuel Cho, KTN News, Nairobi.
Even after different parts of the country received short rains, rangers from semi-arid counties are still grieving over the loss of livestock. Leaders from the drought-stricken counties are still pushing the government through KWS to allow them to graze their livestock in the parks during the severe drought. Hezron Kimari with that story from Taita Taveta County.
Continues to ravage semi-arid counties even after the country received short rains. Thousands of livestock in the ranches are still succumbing to hunger.
Kae tutafute suluhu because bado kiangazi ipo. Usidanganywe. Hakujanyesha. Chairman, nyinyi mmepata mvua. Huko bado kuna pahali bado iko namna hiyo mbele yako. Sasa utawaambia wafugaji waende wakule wapi? Lazima tukae na mimi ni conservationist na niko na ng'ombe. Na ng'ombe iko kwa park, usinifunge saa hii. Lakini ng'ombe iko kwa park. Sidanganyani?
Many times we have a lot of livestock in the parks. It is common knowledge. We have talked about it. It seems as though these people are so powerful that the government cannot remove them. And I wonder why. Our local people who surround the parks, when they try to go into the parks, they are arrested.
Yani tunashikana hata tuwe pia na afisa mmoja wa KWS. At least hizi wajua nimepoteza ng'ombe zaidi ya 14,000 hapa. Wameumia sana hao watu. Angalau hizi ng'ombe wasaidie hizi ng'ombe zao zingine zinaingia katika park hii ya karibu.
The government through KWS has assured leaders and ranchers of getting amicable solution for both wildlife and livestock during times of severe drought.
Sema bado hakujanyesha, but we need also to agree and come together as leaders so that we don't criminalize all the activities. We discuss if it is livestock in parks or outside the park, we discuss and have an agreement.
Let us maintain calm. My door is open and I am willing to dialogue with you and we are going to get a solution. We've been with you for a long time. We will get a solution and livestock is going to thrive, wildlife is going to thrive.
If you're going to encourage conservation, let us keep livestock where it's supposed to be with the wildlife in the conservancies, but let's keep the protected areas specifically for wildlife, and where it is necessary, let there be regulations for putting in livestock within the parks.
So we are saying we cannot tell the Maasais to drive out their livestock, and you're not giving them an alternative.
The Principal Secretary of Department of Wildlife has raised concerns over the low budgetary allocations, asking funding from other NGOs.
We are going to use part of this grant to support the community ranger programs, especially in tackling poaching and illegal wildlife trade. We are going to use part of this grant to also support in paying their salaries, their training.
My challenge to IFAO and USAID. Anytime you have a project, the fact that you have a monitoring and evaluation component in it, make sure you have a human-wildlife conflict component in it. So that while people are benefiting from the project, anticipate that there's going to be some conflict and help us gap the budget. I have a budget of 5.2 billion I need to pay this financial year. I only have 1 billion.
This was said at the handover ceremony of vehicles and motorbikes worth 46 million to conservation organizations within the Tsavo and Amboseli ecosystem, funded by IFAO. Hezron Kimari, KTN News, Taita Taveta.
Thank you, Hezron, for that report. And just a few days after Kanu Party's National Executive Council suspended Secretary General Nick Salat over alleged gross misconduct and violation of party constitution, the party branches across the country have endorsed the decision in a bid or in a statement read by Rahma Abdikadir Isiolo branch chairperson. The party chairpersons from all the counties across the country threw their weight behind the party's decision to suspend Salat, asking him to pursue the available conflict resolution mechanisms within the party.
Hata kuwa general secretary wetu wa chama cha Kanu. Na tunataka tumwambie imekuwa long overdue. In fact, ilichelewa. Lakini kwetu sasa tunaona chama yetu imeinuka.
The decision by Kanu National Executive Council to suspend the party Secretary General Nick Salat was communicated by Kanu National Chairman Gideon Moi, with the party's disciplinary committee tasked to start disciplinary proceedings against him. The Independence Party's chairpersons from all the branches across the country have now thrown their weight behind the decision.
Equivocally support and endorse the recent suspension of Honorable Nick Salat by National Executive Council for gross misconduct, violation of party constitution. His behaviors and conduct as a national official have brought disrepute to the party and redeemed the office of the Secretary General of our party.
Tunataka kutoka leo idhihirike wazi ya kwamba chairman na kitengo cha juu hawakuwa peke yao wakati walifanya hiyo uamuzi, na ndiyo leo tumekuja hapa sisi kuungana na kuonyesha nchi mzima ya kwamba tuko pamoja. Nick Salat tangu wakati alisimamishwa sio Nick Salat ya Kanu, ni Sarad ambayo imepoteza wakati na harufu, na kutoka leo sisi hamtumjui, hamtumtambui, tuko sisi kama Kanu ngangari.
The chairpersons have insisted that Kanu as a party remains strong and united, stating that they are solidly behind the party's national chairperson Gideon Moi.
Sisi hatujui Salat, vile alifukuzwa kwa chama, sisi pia hatumjui. Aende mbele kabisa kabisa, hatumjui hata kidogo. Ametuharibia party wenye walikuwa wanamfuata, waende na yeye kabisa. Sisi Nyanza bado tuko imara, tuko nyuma ya Mheshimiwa Gideon Moi, hatujui Salat.
That Nyanza is steadfast behind Honorable Gideon Moi, and we've come out with a resolve that we say we don't have what we call a first vice chairman from Homa Bay County or from Nyanza. Let's not mislead people. We come out with one voice and we say we are behind Honorable Gideon Moi.
In the statement, the chairpersons also expressed their belief that the party internal organs would grant Salat a fair hearing, asking him to embrace the provisions of the party's constitution.
That we have utmost belief in our internal systems, organs, structures and procedures that have been put in place to address instances of gross misconduct, to enforce discipline and order in our rank and file.
They were speaking after a meeting hosted by the party chairperson Gideon Moi in Kabarak, Nakuru County. Sakali Dalmas, KTN News, Kabarak, Nakuru.
Meanwhile, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has said that the Kenya Kwanza administration is committed to sort out the insecurity issue that has bedeviled communities from Samburu, Baringo, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana and Laikipia counties. The Deputy President has also called for continuous engagement between county and national governments to seek a solution to the perennial insecurity. He spoke at Maralal Cathedral Parish in Samburu County, where he attended a church service.
Gavana, sisi hakuna mtu tutafuata hata moja ya serikali. Hatuna muda, hatuna wakati. Tumekuta uchumi wa Kenya umezorota. Hakuna pesa, mambo imekwama. Ile dakika 10 yote president anaweza pata ako kwa mambo ya kufufua uchumi. Hawa wafanyikazi ya serikali wote walitishwa na kutumiwa vibaya na kuingizwa mambo ya siasa. Na tumemwambia hawa wote, regional commissioner, county commissioners, assistant commissioner, hatutaki usaidizi wao kwa siasa. Wafanye kazi ya usalama, wafanye kazi ya maendeleo, siasa wawachie sisi. Sisi tuko na watu ya kutosha ya kutusaidia siasa. Kwa hivyo wafanyikazi wote wa serikali tumewaambia warudi kwa maendeleo, kwa wachana na mambo ya siasa.
And the funeral of two brothers in Thika, Kiambu County was postponed indefinitely over mystery surrounding post-mortem examinations. Widows and other family members of the two went to remove their bodies from the general cargo mortuary only to discover post-mortem examinations had been conducted without their knowledge. Efforts to get results from the mortuary and the police proved futile. The families say that the two will be laid to rest once the mystery surrounding the procedures has been resolved.
As the sun was rising, family and friends of two brothers, 52-year-old Stephen Njoroge and his younger brother, 42-year-old Francis Karanja, gathered at the General Cargo Mortuary in Thika. According to the plan, the day to bid them farewell would begin here. But those who went to remove bodies of their loved ones from the mortuary,
wakati tulifika hapa, mimi mwenyewe nilistuka kupata hawa bwana zetu wamefanyiwa post-mortem na hatukuhusishwa. Sasa tulisagaa tukashindwa ni kwa nini walifanya post-mortem na hawakutuita. Na sisi ndio tungekuja kusaini.
Tunasikia uchungu sana kwa sababu sisi tumerauka kuzika. Lakini tulipofika hapa tumekuta kuna mambo ambayo imeenda kinyume na venye tulikuwa tunatarajia. Maana tulikuwa tunakuja kuchukua mwili, tukakuta wamechinjwa, kuna post-mortem ambayo imefanyika.
The two are said to have succumbed to cholera after reportedly eating fish from River Como. Exhauster operators have lately been emptying waste into the river. Families of the two brothers want to know who authorized the post-mortem examinations and why.
Chenye tulikuwa tunataka kujua ni mwenye alisaini ile post-mortem na mabibi zao walikuweko na hawakuhusishwa kwa hiyo mambo.
Ukiuliza kwa nini wamefanya hawatoi majibu. Ukiuliza daktari alifuta njia gani ili wafanye post-mortem mambo kwa sisi hatupo, hawaelezei. Na hata sasa tuwezi zika mwili mpaka tujue sababu ama ni nini hicho wanachokificha. Mpaka wanataka sisi tuzike ili hata tuna hizo results zao.
For starters, they want the autopsy results. So far, efforts to get them have been futile.
Results ziko wapi? Tumejaribu kufuatilia kutoka mochale, tumeenda mpaka polisi, saizi tumetoka polisi, tumeongea na OCPD na hatukupata.
Kama walikuwa wamefanya hizo vitu, resort hatukusipata. Agarau kama tungezipata, tungekuwa tumeziona, tungeona ni nini ilitokea.
Families suspect that a relative embroiled in a long-standing land dispute with the two brothers may be behind the move. With a new development, the burial was put on hold indefinitely.
Hakuna haja ya kwenda kuzika miri na hatujui nini iko behind. Tunaweza wapumziza halafu watufuate na kitu ingine.
Hakuna mazishi ambayo itaendelea kwa leo until tuambiwe mambo yale yote tulikuwa tunauliza.
For now, family and friends of Stephen Njoroge and Francis Karanja will have to wait a little longer for the post-mortem mystery to be solved before they can bid their loved ones farewell.
And that report brings us to the end of KTN News Center. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at 1 o'clock with the news desk. My name is Purity Musianzuke. Do enjoy the rest of our programming, and God bless.
KTN News. Get the whole story.